The key to getting stronger is doing cardio. How funny does that sound? If somebody told me this last week, I would have told them they were nuts. They didn't know what the hell they were talking about. But now that I've stumbled upon this idea of doing a whole bunch of cardio, and when I say a whole bunch of cardio, man, right now I'm doing bloody 10 minutes of cardio a day, which is absolutely nothing, and it's laughable. It's laughable to me, and to me, I don't want to say the word embarrassed, but, you know, comparing to where I've come from during the basketball days, you know, running 10Ks on a Saturday morning, Wednesday morning, whenever it was, I used to do it a couple of times a week to keep fit, to, you know, be able to run up and down the court, pressure the man on the ball or whatever. Especially when you're a young, you know, smaller guy on the court, your big advantage is your ability to cover a lot of space. So that's kind of what I focused on, and did a lot of running. And so now when I sit down after a workout and I ride down 500-meter run, 5 minutes, I'm looking at that and I'm like, Jesus Christ, what has happened here? But nevertheless, I think the effects that drew me in, the whole lower leg musculature getting stronger and fitter to be able to, you know, take that over to the squats, more dorsiflexion, more stability, less flat-footedness, less ankle buckling underneath me with heavy weight, i.e. then preventing hips, that extra torque, internal rotation, all that stuff is going to benefit me. And so that's kind of what drew me in. And then I, secondary to that, realized that, oh my God, my appetite is going through the roof. Great discussion after yesterday's video. You guys are telling me all these things. All these guys who are 100 freaking kilos running marathons, ultra runs, and, you know, I forget the names of these fellas, which I all looked up, and I subscribed to some of these channels just so I can, you know, go back and have a search through their channels to see what I can find out. But I'm surprised to learn that there's a lot of guys running crazy distances, crazy marathon plus ultras, and having really, really strong numbers in the powerlifting world. One of the fellas had like a 700-pound freaking deadlift, and he could run, if I'm not mistaken, could run, what was it? 5-minute mile, so under 5-minute mile. Now, I have a little bit of exposure to 5-minute miles from people around me who are runners. 5-minute mile is, you know, that is a good run. You know, if you can maintain a 5-minute mile over several, I mean, that's extreme level running. That's elite. Can you do 1 mile under 5 minutes? It's probably less elite than obviously keeping that pace up indefinitely. But there's no way in hell I could do that right now. No way in hell. I'm so far away from that, man, that it's not even a joke. So right now, I think 1 mile is 1.6K, if I'm not mistaken, which is 3 times what I'm running right now. So I'm running 500 meters. So it's taking me 5 minutes, slow jog, getting used to it. It's not obviously my best, but it's taking me 5 minutes. So 3 lots of that is 1,500 meters. 15 minutes is what I'm doing right now. I need to do a third of that. I mean, I'll tell you, I was pleasantly surprised when you guys were giving me all these links of channels of guys who are like heavy and running at the same time. One of you guys also said, Rich Piana used to say that cardio is an absolute must for a bodybuilder looking to get size on. Now, these are very anti-intuitive to me, counterintuitive to me, because I always thought cardio was for weight loss, for conditioning, for other things. You know, you're going to deplete your glycogen stores if you're doing cardio, and you want the glycogen stores really high to look big and all that. But all of these effects that running does, they actually are not very long lasting. So the glycogen stores get depleted during a run, sure, but the very next meal that you take in, those stores get replenished. But the benefit there is that you are consuming a lot of food, and secondary to that, you're actually providing a lot of fuel, not just for the glycogen stores, but also for muscle building. So if you do a workout, whatever you're doing for the day with a barbell, and then you finish that workout with a 10 or 15 minute run, whatever, that's exactly what I'm doing right now, you've spiked that appetite, which you otherwise wouldn't have had. So you go back and you start eating like a maniac, and then your barbell stuff gets replenished quicker. It's almost like a quicker recovery. It's almost like a cheat code to get big and strong, which is unreal. Unreal for me to think about that. Now I'm thinking about strongman. How many times have you guys seen strongman competitors have incredible deadlifts or just incredible strength in general? Part of a strong man is to be fit. I know it sounds crazy, like, some of these guys are huge people, but they also need a bit of cardio to be able to do some of those carrying events or whatever. Like, you can't just be never training you need some cardio. And I'm just wondering to myself whether the fact that strongman has a cardio component in their sport, the reason why we see, I don't know if this is a correct thing to say, but I feel like strongmen are stronger people than powerlifters. It's probably a different sport altogether, but they seem like better athletes than powerlifters because they have that cardio component, and the cardio component completely changes everything. I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm not comparing the two sports. Obviously, strongman has never crossed my mind to ever, do any of those things. Never really got attracted to strongman because I just feel like there's no standards, in a way. Like, I like specificity. I like having, 3 things to focus on, and that's it, or 2 things to focus on, like the clean and jerk and snatch. So I never kind of got attracted to it, but now I'm thinking, man, this cardio business is really opening up my mind. And I'm thinking about Kai Green, Phil Heath, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all these bodybuilders who would religiously do cardio. Like, you have to do cardio. And I always thought it was for conditioning, for, keeping that fat down. But there might be a secondary element to this. Cardio is putting muscle on you because you are basically having more traffic through your GI system, more absorption of nutrients, and just more opportunity to build muscle. Whereas if you have stagnated GI tract, gastrointestinal tract, right? You do your 5x5, you go home, you're not all that hungry. You wait until you get hungry, maybe 3-4 hours down the track, you eat again. That's fine, you've eaten food. But if you just tucked in a bit of cardio at the end of that 5x5 session, all of a sudden you're freaking hungry like maniac. As soon as you get home, you eat, and then you eat at the same time you would have eaten without the cardio work. So then it's like you're just getting more meals in. It's just easier. You're more regular. Let's talk from a medical point of view. It's better to be regular in terms of your, gastrointestinal system. You want to be regular. You don't want things to just stay in your gut for like days on end. You want that thing to keep going, keep going, keep going. And I think running does that. One of you guys said that it spikes the HGH, human growth hormone. So cardio spikes that and makes you hungry, which in turn increases your ghrelin release, which is that it's a neurotransmitter. It's a hormone which makes us hungry. That's the hungry feeling. The ghrelin gets released and you feel hungry. So cardio releases HGH. HGH releases ghrelin. You start eating. You take away that cardio, and all of a sudden that whole cascade doesn't happen. Anyway, it's a really interesting thing, something that I'm really interested and excited to be doing. It's really weird. Like today I went to the gym and I was looking forward to the cardio the most. How weird is that? I just wanted to see how I was going to cope, how the calves, how the foot was going to cope. Right now I'm still feeling like in that soleus Achilles. I feel like it's the posterior tibialis. It's not the soleus, it's like deep, deep, deep. Right next to the tibia. I'm feeling that muscle. I can't even freaking palpate it properly. I don't think it's the soleus. I think it's the posterior tibialis. That's really, really sore. Right behind the shin bone, which I'm not an expert at, but I think that's involved in keeping your foot arch high. So when I'm running, I'm really trying to emphasize foot striking, forefoot striking, and keeping least amount of pressure on the heels. So basically, it's all kind of on my forefoot, the balls of my feet. And I think that's really stressing the hell out of those structures in the posterior tibialis soleus complex, which in turn I feel like is making me squat a little easier. I know, like I lean over a whole lot, whatever, that's kind of my way. Leverages or no leverages, whatever the case might be, but I feel like I'm easier getting into that dorsiflexion, just happier feet, happier lower leg because of that run. Just feel happier doing weights after a run, which is something I would have never guessed. Like I said, I've tried many freaking exercises, so many exercises, from lunges to ab work to posterior chain work to Hindu squats to whatever, you know, all of them had, you know, different type of effects, but none of them make me feel like I feel when I approach the bar after a run. Just feel ready, man. Like I feel awake, I feel ready. I kind of feel silly, like I'm thinking about my basketball days and how we used to warm up for, you know, to play. You know, you'd always start off with a run or skipping some rope or something like that. You jog around the court for a little bit. You know, there was a warm up. So this whole idea of coming up to the barbell and just picking it up and going into the squat and using the squat as a warm up, I don't think I'll ever do that again. I honestly don't think I'll do that ever again. Even for those 4:30 a.m. sessions, I can run up and down the street, no problem. You know, run 300-400 meters, and I'll be better off than not. This is something I used to do back in the day, like way back in the day, before the squat everyday journey, before all of this. You know, I was maybe doing weights 2-3 times a week or something like that, and I was running, you know, quite a lot. You know, around the time when I first learned about David Goggins, way back in the day, you know, read that book, Lone Survivor. Was that the name of the book? They made a movie about that as well. Got inspired by the whole military, you know, perspective on fitness and how they approach things, the mentality behind it. And so I started waking up at 4:30 in the morning to go for a jog, even on days off. I'd go, get up. At the time, we lived in this house where there was a whole bunch of hills around the place. So that was amazing. Like, there was a few freaking gut-wrenching hills, man. Like, absolute gut-wrenching. You would literally feel like you have climbed Mount Everest when you finally get to that top. Because you know for the next minute or so, you're gonna be running downhill. It's going to be easy. It's just like this runner's high that is just hard to describe. If you've never felt the runner's high, man, I don't know if there's any drug like that. You know, after, you know, sucking the big air in, feeling the freaking agony, and finally, like, you stop. And it's just such an amazing feeling. That's what keeps you coming back. It reminds me of, I mean, obviously I can't talk about this, but it reminds me about childbirth and child rearing, you know, like childbirth. Like, what makes a woman come back for a second kid after going through hell like that? It's like this high. It's almost like this feel-good hormones wash away all the memories, and you want to come back to that again. Similar kind of stuff. I'm really excited about this period. I'm not going to lie. I'm really excited about this period, running, lifting weights to see whether they enhance each other. Obviously, I'm going to try and keep an eye. Obviously, the barbell is always going to be number one. The squat is always going to be number one for me, no matter what. But I'm going to see the effects one has on the other and try to kind of manipulate some of these things so I don't suffer too much. Right now, I'm feeling it's actually enhancing my squatting ability. It's not taking anything away. So that's exciting. All right, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.